Tonight's tactical enhancement is a Daiquiri. Tonight we're playing Warhammer 8th edition, 3,000 points, Khorne Daemons, in fact all the bloody demons I've got, against a kind of a doubles game. There's going to be two players a side of 2,000 points each, but such is the way when you have that many men with wives. One of them decided that the husband couldn't come out to play this evening, so we scaled it back a bit, and it's me versus Doug and Emilio, who between them have 3,000 points worth of vampires. Gentlemen, talk me through what you got.
Okay, first of all, we have Vlad von Carstein himself leading this army. 3,000 points. He decided it was worth his while to leave his castle.
Doesn't he look melodramatic?
And he's mixed in with 27 Graveguard.
Well, I could take a bit of shifting.
And then a Banshee here, who's, I guess, there to give him counsel. A squad of 32, was it, ghouls, Emilio?
So we've got the 32 Crypt Ghouls.
Mm-hmm. A massive squad of 50 plus zombies.
In column.
Yeah.
56 to be exact.
I'm curious to see what these
That's very
things do.
Napoleonic.
Yeah.
And they've got a special rule that says they always strike last to win the war.
Yes, well, then it's, well,
And then,
moving along, what have we got?
2 Vargulfs out here, the bestial vampires.
Yeah, so I have some of these that fly over my house and flock every fucking night.
Then we have a Terrorgeist,
I don't like those.
looks I think pretty awesome.
I think get some shots of this. This guy's a bad looking motherfucker.
And he's 250 points, and he's got upgrades. One upgrade is poison attacks, and the other is he's infested. So in a base contact, if he actually does die, there will be a big sort of pus guts explosion, and things around it in contact will also be harmed.
Well, it's a shame Andrew didn't come here with his Nurgle army. They probably would have enjoyed it.
Kind of fits the
Hot
Nurgle
shower.
theme actually with its
hot
leather.
shower.
Crikey.
And then we have a Banshee and a level 1 Necromancer.
Yes, Emo Hamlet.
Yes, he's leading up this crew of 28 Crypt Ghouls. And then here we have Jeeves, Vlad's
Jeeves.
loyal butler, joining him in Undead in a squad of 11 Black Knights with the banner of the Barrows. Jeeves has a magic sword giving him strength 5 and the reroll ward save item. Not that there's anything to killing blow here, but
And given these were all originally Bretonnian knights, I'm sure there's an entire second-hand market of people very annoyed at you right now.
yes, I was pretty happy to nab them. Just picked those up a week ago, so looking forward to doing something huge.
And they're in the river because they got ethereal movement, so it's like, haha, we don't have to, suffer all those consequences. Right, well, it's suitably intimidating. I got a rude surprise from Vampires not that long ago when I played Mark, and his level 1 vampire chopped my Herald in half. That was very annoying. So up against that, I've got pretty much my entire Khorne army, which I actually did a thing about talking through the logic of it a little while ago. I'm surprised logic applies to this game.
Is this the first time it's been out in full force since you painted up the extra bits?
Once. I had probably a tie, I think it was, against Emilio's lizard men.
Mm-hmm.
Problem being those fuckers don't run away when you beat them. So,
that's pretty nice.
Khorne don't necessarily do well in an extended fight.
Yeah.
3 units of 4 blood crushers, or juggernauts as I still like to call them. Full command. 2 on the flank here to do a bit of flanking. Bloodthirster with his chainmail G-string. In the middle, so he can support either flank as needs may be. Over here we've got 2 units of 24 of the bloodletters, and the last unit of these chaps, juggers. Now in terms of characters, I've got a Herald here with the Army Standard Bearer, and he's got an extra wound, and he gives the unit hatred. And this guy here, we've got a Herald in there as well. He has 2 extra attacks, and he gives the unit hatred. As for big fella here, he's got the Axe of Khorne and +1 wound. So yeah, I've got 2 guys with +1 wound. This bloke's got 6 wounds instead of 5. The other guy's got 3 wounds instead of 2. And his axe gives him +3 attacks if he's in base contact with 3 or more miniatures.
Well, that's going to help him in this game.
Yeah, I got a couple other standards floating around. I think one of this unit moves 6 inches instead of 5, and I think this unit's got armor piercing attacks or some such guff. I've got that written down somewhere. What sort of shit do you have on your characters?
Well, Vlad's the special character, so he has the Von Carstein ring, which gives him a 4+ ward save. I know off the top of my head he has a 3+ armor save, comes back to life on a 2+ the first time he's killed.
Oh, that's annoying. How many wounds does he have when he comes back?
I have to look at it. It might just be 1, but being a vampire, then he can regain them by doing stuff.
I don't like that.
He's pretty cool. Level 3 wizard. He has the vampire power, -1 leadership to anything within 6 inches, any enemy, and he has the beguile power, which is choose 1 enemy in base contact. They have to take a leadership test at -3, or they have to reroll hits, I believe.
That'll keep him alive a bit longer.
Yeah, the band. Does he have? Does the necromancer have anything? Maybe he's got a dispel scroll. I'm trying to know in this game.
So yeah, the necromancer's got the dispel scroll, and also the channeling staff.
Oh
For
yes,
that.
yes,
Oh.
yes.
So that should help.
Well, that'll help him alive.
Yeah, the channeling stuff's pretty cool. So he channels on a 5+, not.
But he's also got the Law of Vampires, which allows you to restore 1 wound to any choice of model within 12 inches.
Okay. And Jeeves?
Jeeves has the sort of +1 strength, the reroll successful ward saves, and then he's got some armor boosts. So I'd have to look at. He's either a 2+ like the rest of the crew, or a 1+.
Right. So he's a thoroughly buffed up fighting dude.
Yeah.
Presumably has excellent stats and all of that.
Not okay. Because he's a hero level character, not a lord.
Right,
So
okay.
That's 3 attacks.
Alright, gents, let's get a dice out. And do you want to do this 2 dice each? And
What are you feeling? We did that for the other one. Yeah, well, okay. No, go.
roll over here. What do I got? I got 9 versus
4, not 6.
7. So you guys get to have first turn.
Okay.
Alright, we'll check in at the end of the vampire half of turn 1. Alright, an incredibly uneventful turn 1. They moved up slowly, because I think that's all they could do half the time. And no magic spells were cast, it's all close quarter stuff. And there's no shooting in this army. So that was quick. We'll move on to the demons turn 1. So we moved up the left flank. Not sure if he's even going to engage on this flank. He might be trying to refuse it. Over here we charged 1 unit, the other one marched. And we crashed into them and killed a third of the unit, which some of it will no doubt get resurrected next turn. It's going to take me a couple of turns to get through it, but I'm thinking, fuck it, I don't want to let it have initiative, so I'm just trying to kill it. And this guy, he just shuffled around a bit to stay out of line of sight of any magical whoop-de-doo that might come from the enemy general. Because one of the tricks with the Khorne army is you don't want to commit the bloodthirst too early unless somebody puts like a choice target right in front of you, and they've not done that. So I'm just trying to pick my moment to engage in the biffo. And that's it. That is turn 1, Khorne Daemons. These guys are falling back. This is going to make it annoying for me to do anything across the river, which partitions off a chunk of my army from being able to commit. Over here, they charged the Vargolfs in, and it was a tie, because frankly, I rolled dog shit.
We're not as bad as us, though.
Well, they didn't roll very well either. And so we won actually on the musician. So they've taken a bit of a wound each, and I've taken a wound off that unit from their attacks. Now over here, this nightmare of a thing attacked this unit. We haven't done the melee yet, we'll sort that out. This nightmare of a thing just rolled 10 for its attacks, plus it's got all its wounds, so it did 16 automatic wounds on my heavy cav. That's horrific. And I lost 7 wounds, so they copped it very badly. Now, for all of that, we'll just do the melee, then we'll check in at the end of the demons turn 2.
he'll charge you before you can charge
Right,
him.
end of Khorne, turn
So you've got to decide what you want to do. You want to go, no.
and I'm rolling dog shit, I have to say.
Who can make way?
We did, I think, a grand total of 1 wound against these fuckers this turn. That was pathetic. And they did 2 and bumped off one of my guys.
Yeah.
That was most annoying. In fact, the only reason we didn't lose another wound is because we were right next to Fred. Fred's come around to see what he can see to try and shore up the flank when opportunity permits. There's not much else he can do at the moment. It's actually not suicidal. Now, over here, we brought the dogs in behind, start causing them some
Who
trouble.
let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Because it pinces them with some more interesting things over here. Now remember the river, if you fight whilst you're in the river, then you lose your rank bonus and your steadfast, and also you can't march across it. So we moved up to the edge of the river, or as far forward as we can. These guys are moving at full tilt. They're doing a very good refused flank and not fighting the bulk of my army. It's most frustrating. That's about it. I did have another unit that came on, but of course what didn't come on, they rolled, they failed. We've got a bit of a problem though, because it's now their turn, and that thing rolls rather well for just killing shit outright. That's a monstrous cavalry killer. I haven't seen it do that before. Whereas the rest of the army is dislocated. So, and unfortunately, because I'm rolling dog shit, I mean, I didn't take any wounds on these guys this turn, but I didn't kill very much either.
5 dead zombies for 2 juggernauts is not a good
absolutely
No,
not.
that's very embarrassing.
No.
I should be killing
spawn them.
2 out of 3. Oh, I should be rolling a lot more dead than that. Rolling a lot of 1s is most annoying. Anyway, we'll move into turn 3 for the undead now, and we'll see. See if that spams off an entire unit. Right. Well, it's anyone's battle, I'm finding. Over here, the undead reformed to get their cavalry away from this pincer situation. Does, however, leave the infantry in a pincer situation. The banshees have been howling their brains out and not killing anything, which is most reassuring. These guys moved around here, and this unit, which had moved into the building last term, moved out with the banshee in place, with the full intention of having a bit of a whinge, as they do, and then recharging this unit, which you know it's not here anymore, and maybe flank charging that unit. Now, I've considered continued my trend of rolling absolute dog shit. The other guys are rolling normal. There's nothing particularly horrific about what I'm receiving, but I'm just not dishing out any damage. So as a result, we lost that melee after killing a grand total of 3. And we lost this melee and took an extra wound or 2, despite the general's leadership over here, because we're just rolling dog shit over and over again.
They did kill one of the Vargulfs though, which is no longer there.
We did, but it took, 3 turns, 3 or 4 rounds of
And you
combat
had full
to do
strength, full unit.
it's pretty woeful. That thing rolled
Low, but still did
pretty
something.
average this turn, but it still bumped off a couple of wounds from the Juggernaut unit there. That thing's horrific against monstrous cavalry.
The zombie, I think it left the Juggernaut on 1 wound, and some plucky zombie.
Yeah, zombie did a wound.
That's
wound
right.
off.
See, these zombies have done 1 wound per turn for 3 rounds of combat, right?
Yeah.
And that thing has bumped off the remaining 9 wounds just by hock and fistfuls of dice. I don't like that rule very much. Then again, I haven't got Fred into combat yet, but that's about to change. Time to do turn 3 for the demons. Right, well, the dice continue to be doing unpleasant things to my rear quarters. Over here, the one thing I did, which was totally my own dumb fault, was I forgot to reform those guys to take on that prick. Although that said, they're likely to be charged by these guys. Swings and roundabouts. That thing did a wound, I did none. Over here, this thing charged in, killed I think 10 all up, including the stomp.
Yep.
I mean 12 actually. No, 10 all up, but I've got 12 for the combat res. Then they hit back, and Emilio was rolling, of course, with his dice. So they got a whole flying fuckload of poison attacks, and I completely failed all of my heavy armor and my ward saves, and took 4 wounds on the greater demon. Now he's got 6 because of his magical whoop-de-doo instead of the usual 5. But still, that's an absolutely woeful state of affairs.
2 wounds left.
Yeah, it's shocking, which means he could be killed this turn, and then they pass their leadership on the general's leadership to reform, all of which is absolutely hideous. And my greater demon could be taken down by a bunch of ghouls and a banshee because he rolled dog shit. And it's worth noting, I mean, I should have killed a few more guys in the actual melee as well. It was absolutely just terrible all round.
And I can tell you now that this terror guy, just film him.
Yes.
He's going to come in and he's going to scream and he's going to throw some more dice at you. And he's not even going to be in hand-to-hand combat, so you can't use your blade to get that advantage.
Get bumped off by a fistful of dice.
Yeah, because it's our turn now. So this is going to play perfectly for us.
Yeah,
if we can take that greater damage, you only need 2 wounds.
Well, I was almost tempted to ignore and look at the ghouls because the banshee gets a crack at him. She's got her scream.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of going at these.
No. So over here, we pincered a unit of ghouls.
These
and just
are
annihilated
dead?
it in one round, but we did hit it with the dogs and with these guys. So,
including a banshee and a necromancer in there.
Yeah.
but I've just realised I forgot to roll for the other unit of dogs, so we'll do that in a minute. Then I got the dumb idea of trying to charge these guys across the river, which is stupid and kind of suicidal.
Chris
but
needed to roll 2 6s.
I needed a 12.
But
to
he
make
did it
contact with
anyway.
this unit.
Which I love the spirit
Yeah.
for. That was
Yeah.
very cool.
Because the bottom line is, I'm going to lose this battle.
Oh, don't.
I'm going to lose those guys over there, and I'm going to lose this guy here to a bunch of poison attacks if I don't just get diced by that thing anyway. So I thought, what the fuck?
Yes.
Let's throw it all in.
Yeah, but that's your right flank, but your left flank's looking pretty good.
Well, the left flank is okay, although I'm going to lose this guy. In theory, he could have just charged across, but the thing is, he doesn't really need to fight. All he's got to do is just throw magic at it over and over again, and they're gone.
Yes.
So if you don't press them out and either tempt them into a good fight and then hopefully kill a bunch, or just somehow get into it yourself, then you basically, as Khorne, you're a sitting duck sitting under the guns of a fistful of magic. So even though it was a suicidal thing to do, the alternative was just a slower version of suicide, and that's fucking boring. Over here, these guys moved up thinking they were going to charge next turn, but well, no, they're just going to spend the rest of the game trying to get into position to do things. And there we are. And I'll bring on the dogs, which I forgot to bring on earlier, and then we'll check in at the end of turn 4 for Undead. Right, so this turn, this melee, I've completely forgot to reform those guys 2 turns in a row. And as a result, that thing is still kicking my ass. I'm rolling absolute shit, which isn't helping, but my forgetfulness is even worse. Over here, their forgetfulness meant the horses stayed still instead of manoeuvring. We did arm and ahh about whether to let them manoeuvre anyway, but we were well into the melee phase by then. And we're sort of making the same mistakes. Now,
There was another mistake we forgot, is that every turn, if you're within 12 inches, we can nominate any unit and give them back 1 wound.
But we couldn't have done that anyway because we're not within 12.
Not within 12. Okay. No one else.
Now, over here, instead of charging these guys, this lot decided to move over here, put a -1 aura onto my general, who you notice is carted.
Yes.
So we had that. Then we had the poison attacks.
No. That aura enabled the banshee to scream him to death, which is against the leadership. So the combat phase never even took place.
Well, no, that's right. So the banshee did it, but the stack up was that to complement the banshee, and then these guys had the magic attacks if they got to fight, and then that thing came along to do its fistful of fucking dice. Which is a great way of ensuring that the damn thing dies. And it did. And in fact, it did on the first roll. So it's kind of one of those things, if the banshee doesn't get it, then the poison will get him. But if the poison doesn't get him, then that fellow will get him.
Yeah, he was dead.
And there was too much at stake. We had to wipe out the general, kill a greater demon.
If you get a chance to kill a greater demon, you fucking take it.
Yeah, because it was the most threatening thing on the table.
Yeah.
I do have a major dislike of this screaming nonsense, but that's Warhammer. What can I say? We're not playing chess here.
We could have taken 2 in this battle. I was like, nah, do the 2 Vigals.
That will lose your friends. That's like taking 2
that.
steam tanks.
That's right.
You take that to tournaments where you don't know anyone and you hate everyone.
The
Anyway.
Vargas are the funnier, the more fun choice.
But for the viewers, though, you can see the potential of what.
You know
also,
what?
this is the better painted of your two Terragast. That's an amazing.
I've been on the receiving end of a steam tank many times, and I want to see this thing kill a steam tank
Well,
by screaming at it.
they actually can, but the thing is that the cannonball will kill it before it gets in. Probably.
That's why
Well,
you bring two.
maybe. That's why you have to be careful when you fly these things. A bit of strategic terrain is always useful. So anyway, that's the end of first. The first time the Greater Demon's been killed in however many years I've had this army.
Okay, now
And it was done by
yeah.
whining goths having a bit of a yelp.
Once his Greater Demon had one wound left, and then he killed me.
Well, that's why I
Killed my
wanted. It
general.
was. I thought it'd be more
I
thematic if
wanted- I
he
wanted
went
it-
down in
I
combat.
wanted
That
it.
was why I was kind
Yeah,
of like.
it's
But he's
well-
like, losing his leadership bonus
Yeah,
is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get
Well,
another chance.
losing the leadership bonus is a problem. We will see what happens with the rest of the army, because they've really been only hanging on by a bit, but that's because of shit dice and me being stupid with them. Well, what can I say? We're into turn, what? Was this turn 5?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Was it turn 4?
I think your turn 4 coming up.
Right, so we're into Demons turn 4, and my other unit of hounds didn't even turn up last turn, which is most frustrating, because then they could have pincer charged these guys, but that won't happen.
Jeeves was never the smartest. He was just a bit
Let's
flummoxed.
see if my dogs can figure out if they're turning up. No! 3 times in a row
It's
they're
a
not
2
turning
plus
up.
now, right? To get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rock up.
yeah.
It's,
So,
a 3, it's a 3 plus every
Oh,
turn,
okay.
and they've just failed it 3
Yeah,
times in a
okay.
row. That's my night tonight. I need more alcohol. These guys tried to charge out of the river into the back end of these guys. They needed a 10, they rolled a 7, but the funny thing is, they moved as far as they were going to anyway if they're just not charged. Over here,
We have to destroy them.
they did remind me to reform that time, and I still rolled dog shit, and that thing still rolled fabulously, save after save after save. My wounds are a bit below average, but it would have been enough to kill it.
We've got to destroy
And then
them.
it did enough back to me that I
Is there
rolled
for
dog
anything?
shit on the leadership again.
These guys, it's 3.
I don't think I've passed a single leadership test all game. No, I lie, I have passed one. And that was only because the general was there. And I still lost... No, I still lost a wound or 2. Anyway, whining aside, things got a little bit better over here. We charged the dogs into the back of the knights, and I thought it was going to be a bit of a grind, and then the dogs would die, and then the infantry would come and finish the job. Instead, we smashed the living bejesus out of that knight unit. There's a character left who didn't kill anything.
No, despite the banner of the barrows.
Finally, somebody else rolled a fistful of 1s instead of me.
Both for saves and for attacks.
Yeah, that's right.
4, I think, died to the normal attacks.
Yeah, you could have referred your partner to roll the dice for you.
Well, I thought that I couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you only did
Jeeves.
one dice roll. You only did 1 wound to me. It was
wound.
enough to finish off one of the dogs.
Yeah, wouldn't have been
And
able
there
to
was a
kill a full
standard,
health
I
one.
think.
Yeah.
But by the time you were rolling, there was no additional rank.
But you'll get to strike first next turn, won't you?
No, he's the
I got-
hounds. You said initially
they're
4,
at
so they're
least 4.
quicker.
Wow.
So, and the rear charge, that extra plus
The
3 combat res just
Killed
fucked them
3
right up.
more at the end. Yeah.
And I think I had the extra
And then-
strength as well
Oh, yeah,
on
for
the
the
charge,
Khorne
so that
charge.
helps. So that was amazing. That's the casualty pile. I did not expect
That's
that.
a lot of
all
points. They're
from-
about 18 points each or something.
No,
aren't
they're like 24 or 5, including.
they? So you did
Yeah.
very well there.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
like
useful.
huge. Also, because it's a recharge, so the lances weren't anything.
Yeah.
The horses. The 1 wound was done by a black knight. I was trying to think if it was a horse that did it, but it was the knights. Yeah.
So, and look, it's turn 4, and this refused flank that they've engaged in over here does mean that a massive chunk of my army
He's in the
has
wrong
spent
position.
the whole fucking game just trying to get
You're
anywhere
out
near
of
a fight.
position. Yeah.
So that, at the tactical level, that's been a very smart play, and it's kind of ruined my night a little bit, but well, quite a few other things have ruined my night, let's be honest. That's it, I think. We're into turn 5 for the undead.
Yeah. And he survived.
All right, so these guys decided to run and hide in a building. Which is strange, but they did that anyway, and they cast some magic out and killed a few of these guys.
Also,
These
building.
guys decided to hide in a building.
They like that building. They've been in it twice now.
They moved this thing up to be a nuisance. This
Yeah,
guy's
is
still
that
running
an
around.
anti-church in there?
Yeah.
Over here, I rolled
doing sermons.
garbage back to form and didn't do a damn thing to that unit. And in return, Jeeves, the big boy there, killed a dog.
Yep.
So that was annoying. Much of this game is annoying, let's be honest. For me, it's wonderful for the other guys. And that's about it. Right, so Demons turn 5. The other unit of hounds finally arrived on their fourth go. The dogs once again failed to kill a damn thing. They took no casualties in return, but then I would have lost a wound or two from the combat res because I failed both of my morales.
Because of the banner.
The banner on leadership of 7 or 8 or whatever it is. And these guys tried to charge that building, which they could have done on maybe a 6 or something. And they rolled a lot less than that. So, yeah, I think I got a grand total of like, I don't know, 8 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, the highest dice was a 3. No, actually, no, I probably got 9 or 10 inches. No, anyway, fuck it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I rolled really low. I rolled like, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I needed a 7 or 8.
We anticipated that if they would have kept using their spells, we probably could have killed another 5 in that unit.
Yeah, but we didn't bother turn 6 because
Can't eliminate it.
that'll be a grind, nothing will happen. The dogs can get in and finish off that unit, but that's not going to swing the game.
No.
These fellas, I've got a dude there, Herald, who's got the highest initiative out of everybody in this potential melee with 5 attacks or with killing blow, and then there would have been another 12. No, there would have been another 10 attacks with killing blow because you can only get 10 guys at a time in a fight in the building. Wouldn't have been enough to kill that unit, but it would have, over successive rounds of melee, it might have done a bit of damage, notwithstanding what that might have done.
Yeah.
But alas, all too little, too late.
The other thing to keep in mind, Chris, is that the Terrorgeist had all his wounds. So if he rolled, let's say, an average of
He
7
did do quite a bit of carnage.
plus 6 is 13 against. He would have killed another 5 just with his weapon.
The thought in terms of them being in the building is if they come in, then she can come out and add to that scream as well.
So that unit, regardless of how good their attacks were, in 2 turns they would have been wiped out.
But that's not enough turns in the game, though.
Yeah, there's not enough of the game to actually do that. Look, 2 things killed me outright in this game. One was the decision by the undead to really not fight. I tried doing a pincer style attack because anything else would have been boring. And they quite rightly refused to engage with a large part of the army.
Yeah.
I think, all things being even, those guys would be dead by the end of the game. And I killed one other unit there, but they're not the bulk of the army. The bulk of the army is this character, this unit,
that block's our most powerful block.
By flying.
that thing.
With flying and manoeuvrability.
These cheap units are still intact.
The Vargulfs are worth 175 each, but he's still
It's
only
250.
killed 1.
He's been souped up.
He's survived.
Look,
So-
from our side, Chris, I agree with you that we didn't engage the majority of your army, but we did deploy unit by unit each turn, and you did decide to put more than half your army over this side, but we put nothing over this side. So from a deployment point of view, I could see that the strength was actually on your right flank, but I knew that with our army, if we concentrated in the centre and moved to the left, we would have enough to have an even fight or better against the right flank.
Because of the terrain setup, it meant that big block of 56 zombies, something ridiculous, could not be avoided, and so that's just because of the screens.
And we from the beginning we wanted to sacrifice them, and to hold up the charge, and they did exactly what they were ordered to do, which was to hold up the charge, which allowed the rest of our units to get into position to destroy them, and our plan. We actually followed through with what our plan was, which was to go through the centre and the left flank, hold the left flank, go through the centre and destroy the units that were there, knowing that Chris's biggest part of his army was not able to get there to support those units. And that's the gameplay.
I goofed it a little bit with these guys not using their theory. It was my first time.
That was an error, just an error.
But I will say that was pretty good with the Flesh Hounds coming on. We were quite lucky that this other supporting squad only came on the very last turn when they couldn't actually do anything.
This was probably, if you had to give medals out to Chris, it was
I think they're still alive too.
Yeah, it was these Flesh Hounds were the stars of your army.
Yeah, and look, What I found with this was I tried to crash through because I realised I was going to face the bulk over here, and look, you did a very good tactical play. In theory, what I've sent down this flank should have crashed through, but I just rolled dog shit after dog shit after dog shit, and nothing bloody worked.
Yeah.
That thing didn't help. It rolled up a storm. Was it? He rolled a 10 on its first go.
Yeah, Terragast, because it's in terms of the matchup, because the way to do it is to plink a couple of wounds off, which makes the screams much worse. But with a mono Khorne,
you got no cannons to knock it down. You got no magic to knock it down.
They have that broken cannon, but props you for not fielding skull cannons, which are broken. No, so I fully much agree with that. And that's why as well with this setup, once I found I was going through, I was like, we can't use 2 Terragast. Just got to drop that second one because it's just too.
Well, in a 4,000 point game, it would have been quite reasonable to have 2 Terragast.
3,000 points.
Yeah,
but legally,
I mean, in a
2,000 point, you can.
In a 4,000 point game, there would have been 2 greater demons on the table.
Yes,
So that's.
They're great though in terms of that so long as they don't have to fight them head to head, that they love that greater demon. Just because there's not much to get rid of greater demon and ignore the toughness.
They are a support unit, but they're a hammer.
Yeah, that's how you sort of a unique unit. In that you see something like that, think, oh, it's a dragon, it's a melee monster, but it isn't. It's a.
Can I say, if you're going to run a Vampire Count's army, try and field at least 1 Terragast.
Wow.
The other thing I suggest is, if you're going to field a Vampire Count's army, have a spell that allows you to bring back the dead. Now we fielded 3,000 points and we didn't have that spell.
We could have come in Necromancer, but he died.
He was in the wrong position.
Quick question first: how many? Assuming we kill this whole unit off, how many points of your stuff did I actually kill?
Had they died, Jeeves and his crew, I believe, are just under 500.
All right.
You killed the Vargulf, which is 175, so that would be 675. And then the Ghoul squad.
Most of the points with the Vampire Lord.
There is the Ghoul squad has a
675.
had a Banshee unit, which is 95. That's Melania.
75.
And then I don't know how much the Necromancer is because that wasn't.
The Graveguard's 350.
The Ghouls are
so
like
for about
300.
780, 880. So the difference is about 300 points.
Yeah, so it wasn't that much because
the points were in here.
The Ghoul squad was a bit. But when that second Vargulf knocked out the other unit, I was like, cool, that's cool because he's 175 points. They're not like cheap. Like we worked out that this ridiculous squad of zombies is the same as one of them for like 50 plus zombies.
And that thing just rolled save after save after save after save.
That was great at the end. I said at the start of the game, this is a model I've had for like freaking probably 8 years. I love it. He's built a very storied career on the battle table, either doing great or doing amazing. Never does average, and today this was one. At the end, I will say,
he still won
to keep him alive. No, he did great. That's why he's still alive.
He did a fantastic job.
He killed
he killed about 300 points worth of troops.
And he's still kicking it.
With some support from your guy, and they killed 175 in return.
And he delayed that with the help, but that Hammer squad of 4 Juggernauts was
really these 2 units. If one or the other had crashed through, I figured it's going to take 2 turns to get to those guys. But even on a totally shit bunch of dice rolls, they wiped out a third of that unit in 1 round. It's being reduced by 2/3, even when I was rolling crap with reduced attacks. So I figured 2 turns, get the other guys through the Vargulfs into there. And look, I'm really not very familiar with the Undead Army.
Yeah.
So I didn't really realise how bad Vargulfs are, and I didn't know that thing had a screen. But I haven't gone out of my way to find out what this army does either.
Yeah. I will say that the Vargulf, that was strategically, I was very happy with this. You know how we were like, maybe charge zombies in. I was like, no, don't let the Vargulf do it because his guys could have killed the zombies. Then the Vargulf dies to combat race, but leaving him in there, he can make the saves. There's no way easy to get through that 4+ save. And if you're rolling well, 4+ save is a pretty good save. Yeah. It's regen, so flaming gets through it.
The other thing, this terrain, there's a lot of terrain here. It wasn't an open table, so we had to be clever about how we manoeuvred, and I think we were clever enough. Using the buildings to our advantage.
That definitely as well.
Yeah, your manoeuvre was fine.
Stymied the Bloodthirster for 1 turn because then he couldn't charge because he was behind a building, which he needed to be because of the threat of screaming big.
So we actually did use the terrain to our advantage.
The big thing is the river is what fucked me up.
Yeah.
I remember Mark, who we game with, saw this river that I used in a game of Team Yankee recently, and he said, well, why don't we ever use the river in Warhammer? And I think we've just reminded ourselves of why we don't use river. The only reason to use a river is to cheat when you make sure it's favourably positioned for you to deploy. Otherwise, they're fucking horrific.
So I've got to ask you a question for the viewers. Why did you stack so many of your units on the left flank when we didn't put anything on our flank?
Look, partly because
why did you do
if
that?
I'd fought over here, I would have been fighting piecemeal.
Because the buildings, I guess space was an issue.
Yeah, and usually the Khorne army needs to have mutual support, like 2 units at a time, in order to get anything done.
But you also knew the river was here.
Well, what I thought was, I'll move up to the edge of the river
plan?
and charge across, which I did.
I will.
Yeah,
it worked.
I will say that
That's the one fucking thing that worked.
Yeah.
So actually, the river didn't stop these guys from being effective. And the fact that you were running away, you would have done with or without the river.
Yes, that's true.
So you did a refused flank.
But we probably the mistake we made is
the
the biggest points that you got from us was from their defeat.
They're not dead yet.
No,
They would be by the end of the
They
game.
would be by the end of the game. But
Maybe.
if we didn't make that mistake of forgetting about them, they would have been long gone and safe.
Yeah, with the march. Also, I'm not sure if what the rules are.
But we would have outrun them.
We did a thing where with the swift reform, you cannot march, you can only move. And so, I'm not sure if we played that right, but had they been able to march, they would have been long gone anyway.
I think we did it right, but somebody can comment on that if you like.
Yeah,
and,
please.
we can look it up later.
For the future.
So I mean, you did kind of stimmy yourself with bunching your troops up, and much like I did as well.
Well, it didn't work well. I will say that they did okay in terms of the threat of that long range charge.
Yeah.
Did stop a little bit of the movement up, maybe. I thought.
In one turn.
The unit that got destroyed here, we weren't prepared to sacrifice them.
Yeah, that was a sacrifice. I was hoping
we always
would
prepared
last
to sacrifice
one more
them,
turn,
but we didn't expect them to perform so poorly.
Yes.
That was our error.
But
that's the only error I think we made in the game.
No, well, one thing that in terms of that sacrificial unit, I'm just thinking of it now because I turned around to get the scream off right with the banshee, which didn't do anything, but technically. We could have left them facing that way and just moved her out by herself, and she could have done. And then that's 2 targets as well.
Yeah.
But
We could have
that's
been
something.
So
I'm
there's
thinking
a
of.
lot
We could have saved them for another turn.
There's some clever tactics that could have been done that would have stymied things further. Look, I mean, I tried a double pincer, and one of the pincers just flopped, and the other one you refused to fight.
And part of the pincer didn't even turn up. I will say that.
Well, that didn't
as well.
help.
No, so
I mean, they're rolling a 10. Yeah, well, you got to take that from time to time.
Yeah.
My guys dying in droves and nothing dying in return. Yeah, you have those days. I did something worse to Andrew last week in Team Yankee, where his entire army just refused to do its job the entire fucking game.
The greater demon. Could you have brought it on into the game earlier?
No, because I was jammed up. There's nowhere to send it. I put it in the middle so I could support either flank.
Because a lot of points were sitting there for 3 turns.
Yeah, I guess the downside with the epic juggernaut units, while they look great, is on a 5 wide. If they're in the front, you can't until you kill a couple. You can't bring in something else as well.
Well, that's true, but they
just
should have
so
smashed
wide.
that in 2 turns.
Yeah, I think as well that greater demon, if it was possible, there were no cannons on this table. There was no real threat for that greater demon in the first 2 turns. I probably would have brought it straight in to support the units.
There is some stuff.
I think he was worried the
He's
magic maybe he was worried.
The magic was a concern because you've got some spells that could just blast him apart. He's a glass cannon. He's only got
6 wounds.
Yeah.
He has 6
normally
wounds. Normally it's 5,
yeah.
but he only has heavy armor. So against a your spells which are hocking around strength 4.
But his job is to do hand-to-hand combat. That's what his job is all
Well,
about.
it is, but if you're stupid in getting him in, then you lose him, or he loses so many wounds he just dies in combat.
Yeah. Oh, he wouldn't fight on his own, but he definitely should be supporting the units.
Now there was no fight over here to support,
No.
and they didn't need it when they got to a fight anyway. So I put him over here to try and help these guys out, and I didn't have anything to fight.
Yeah.
And when I did fight in, you rolled a fuckload of poison attacks.
The thought, in terms of us moving, I was actually not so worried about hand-to-hand, only because of the matchup. Ghouls with the poison attack, if we roll like Emilio, they're still a threat to a greater demon.
Yes.
And then with these, the Grave Guard, ignoring Vlad with all his buffs, they still hit at strength 6, so upgraded him still has to worry.
They hit
so,
strength 6 today.
Yeah,
I knew that was a reason I was avoiding them.
Yeah, so
I never actually had a clear run on fighting them.
So
But I knew
understand
that, like,
them
if you have a greater demon and you're going to go up against a ranked unit, either that ranked unit's got to be piss weak, and the ghouls are piss weak, or you got to get support.
Well, our biggest victory was the Crypt Horrors doing 4 wounds in 1 turn on a greater demon. That was amazing.
The ghouls, the poison.
Ghouls, yeah.
That was, by the way, that was on a flank charge. That wasn't with all of their attacks.
Absolutely. I flanked the bastards.
That was just the dudes in
And that's what turned the game, I think. That really
he was a
hurt
sitting. Although, to be fair, we would have killed him anyway because the Terras would have another scream tank.
Well, possibly, but the reason the Terrorgeist was going for him in the first place
was it so
it smashed everything so bad.
Yeah.
Look, there was Yahtzee after Yahtzee after Yahtzee that fucked up the right flank, and you did a clever tactic on the left flank, and between those two variables, it did the job.
I thought it was a great game. It was amazing to see, like, just 6,000 painted points on here. The Khorne army looks amazing. It's great to see that in full flight, and
it's always nice to see a bunch of these fellas in metal doing their job.
Vlad made his return to the battlefield,
and spent a lot of the game hiding.
But that's what he does.
Well, he used his magic.
He is like
He's a survivor.
Yeah, he is. He's not like a Conrad, which I couldn't fit in.
He used his leadership to help us a couple of times.
Yeah, and hey, like every casualty over here, while there's still a fair few, was Vlad.
Yeah.
So,
well,
gentlemen, anyway, it was a good game. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Friday night.
Thank you for hosting. The table looked great. While the river wasn't.
Yeah.
It was great to actually send to play with one. I don't think played with a river in the middle.
Just for the viewers' information, Chris set up this table, and this river actually hurt Chris's army.
Well, there's 2 reasons river is here. One is I only have enough terrain boards to. I've got 3 normal terrain boards, and the 4th one has a river.
The 4th one, I see.
I could have stuck it on the side and just ignored it, but I thought we'd put one in there for a change.
No, it's fine.
It's
fine. And we could have actually, what we could have done is we could have actually deployed to face him.
Yes.
But it would have spread our forces. And Vlad, we need that area effect that
and
Vlad
his
provides.
Bubble and his spell.
And his bubble.
Yeah. So, one question. We've already answered this, but I like to ask, what have we learned?
That even with rivers, don't take your ethereal movement for granted. I still managed to goof that with them. And also remember that the viewpoints with buildings with windows, so that was something I tried to be mindful of with Vlad, and also that zombies as a tar pit once you got 50 is incredible. I've been areas to get myself a 50 plus block, and I might actually.
And I have to say, this is where I'll jump in and say, some of the viewers say, don't waste your points on zombies. Well, tonight we can prove they did their job and they returned on that investment threefold.
Absolutely. With the screens. If we had gone on a list with, say, no Banshees, no Terrace, then maybe but in this particular list, they were arguably the men of the match. They held
up that flame.
Yeah, and killed a dude, one of Khorne's finest juggernauts.
Yeah, zombies actually don't underestimate 3-point zombies.
Look, a 3-point tar pit's a 3-point tar pit. They don't run away.
Yeah,
and it gives you a couple of turns to take the initiative from the enemy, so that makes good sense. And I have to say, for the Khorne army, Khorne needs more mutual support than what I thought. I would have thought I could crash through. But actually, keeping the pincers that wide apart was a bad idea.
One more thing I have learned though is flesh hounds are way more scary than they look.
Yeah, they're the best in the game.
Now I'll remember moving forwards that Khorne Demon +1 strength on the charge. They have, I think, 2 attacks or
something. 2 attacks each,
yeah, so 10 strength, 5 hits. They are no joke. In my head, I thought, they're kind of like glorified Chaos Hounds, but they are beastie.
Like a unit of 10 medium cavalry. So, what can I say? I'm annoyed that I lost, but it was a good game.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
People, if you're still watching this, thanks for watching. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, give me shit for the horrible tactical decisions I made. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, etc. And definitely time to call it a night.